Alright, chat. Alright, chat, we're back to a banger video. Alright, today we're going to be watching IMR Scary Tales. Now let's get started.
Derek!
Let's go. Story 1.
There used to be a local amusement park called Davy's Wonder World, located on the outskirts of a little town in rural Arkansas. My family and I used to visit the park all the time when I was little, and it quickly became one of my favorite places in the world. However, that all changed on July 19th, 2008, after I was almost brutally murdered at Davy.
Crazy. That's crazy to start the video, but okay. Okay, that's crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Since. It all started one summer evening. My little brother Steven had just turned 13, and he wanted to celebrate his birthday at the amusement park. So we all went to Davy's Wonder World. After we'd arrived, we took a few family pictures and got some snacks before going on Steven's favorite ride at the park. A couple of hours passed before Vince told me it was time to go home, but I'd lost track of Steven, so I went to find him. It took me a few minutes, but when I finally were standing with a boy I'd never seen before, and they were both holding bright blue cotton candy. Steven then introduced me to his new friend Joey, who was a kind-looking kid with dark hair and brown eyes. He told me that they'd met at one of the park's food stands, and Joey had shown him where to get the best cotton candy in the whole amusement park. They both insisted that I should try it before we left, so I agreed. The cotton candy stand was called Billy's world-famous cotton candy, and
Gang, what kind of name is that? Billy's world-famous cotton stand? Are you serious? Like, bro, are you serious right now?
it was a small, isolated stall sitting on the edge of the amusement park. There were about 10 kids at the cotton candy concession stand, and they were all munching down on the cotton candy like it was the best thing in the whole world. Steven and Joey told me to get the blue raspberry flavor, which was the best seller, but there was something about the stall that felt off-putting. It was hard to explain, but I had this gut feeling that something wrong, and it only got worse after I met the stand's owner, Billy. Billy was a strange...
Bro is chopped. Bro is crazy. Could never be me. Bro.
He also had this sick grin on his face as he looked at me. Would you like to try Billy's cotton candy? It's only $3, and it... Steven and me, we should leave. But at this point, that my little brother suddenly started foaming at the mouth as he fell to the floor. It wasn't long.
Would you do it?
No, you need to do it. Try to do it. And eat it.
Was forced onto my nose. I tried to fight, but the world around me slowly went dark. I woke up in what seemed to be a cramped metal cage, and my eyes felt heavy. 1,000 thoughts ran through my mind as I hoped Steven and his friend Joey were safe. I then frantically looked for any opportunity to escape, and I eventually came across a small metal rod. It was rusty, but I knew I could hit it against the cage's lock and get it open. However, before I could do anything, I froze, as that was the moment I finally saw it. There are no words to explain the horror I felt as I witnessed the morbid sight in front of me. My little brother Steven was lying motionless on a bloody slab. His corpse had
That the reason why I couldn't show this because YouTube got
him as I pierced the metal rod in my right eye. I immediately bolted toward the door with no hesitation as Billy fell to the floor holding his eye. As I ran for the exit, I could hear him screaming the words, "I'll get you for this, you stupid brat! I swear I'll find you and I'll cut you open!" I ran as fast as my legs could carry me, and I didn't stop until I saw an old couple passing by who immediately helped me call the police. But unfortunately, it was already too late by then,
Yo, what's up,
as
bro?
Billy had escaped before the authorities arrived. An investigation was
Ethan, what's up? My mom doing good. Yeah. Look.
Okay, Darius, we on live. Okay.
immediately carried out, and the detectives believed Billy was part of a disturbing organ trafficking ring that they'd been investigating. They uncovered several bodies from the old wooden shed where Billy carried out his operations. All the mutilated corpses, including Steven's, were missing their kidneys, skin tissue, and portions of their livers. The detectives also found surgical tools, copious amounts of ice, in addition to organ preservation fluids like Belzer UW, SPS1, and HTK in the
Alright, Mark, you made that up. Let's be honest, you made that up. You made that up, bro. Because ain't no way that's SPS1. TK. No, you made that up.
couldn't imagine the terror he and his innocent friend Joey must have felt in their last moments. However, as the investigation continued, things took an even more when the detectives couldn't find anyone matching Joey's description among the corpses. While they weren't certain, a few detectives believed that Joey was actually part of the organ trafficking ring, as these organizations often hired young boys to lure other unsuspecting kids around their age for organ harvesting. Despite the authorities' best efforts, they were unable to find Billy or Joey, and they are still out there, somewhere, to this very day.
Dang. Story 2.
The taste of his blood on my tongue was repulsive, and the screams that erupted around me after it happened felt like they were going to burst my eardrums. As I sat there, drenched in blood and chunks of human flesh, I broke down crying as I wondered how I ended up here. To understand why I found myself in this position, I'll need to take you back to this morning. It started out like every other Thursday. I woke up, went to the gym, and then got ready for work. However, when I was about to leave the house, I got a call from my childhood friend, Trey Coleman. "Hey, Lisa, I'm gonna be back in town soon. We should hang out, just like the old times."
Sure, Trey. I'm going to be free after work. Where do you want to go?
I was thinking we could just walk around town and revisit the old spots we used to visit when we were kids.
That sounds great, Trey. We can meet at our old college bar after work.
Trey was one of my best friends in the whole world. Our parents were close friends, and even though we weren't related, we'd basically grown up together like siblings. He'd left home after college, as he said he wanted to leave our small town and travel the world. We'd managed to keep in touch over the years, and I was happy that he was visiting. After I was done with work, I changed into something more comfortable before making my way to the bar. After we
Oh, I don't think you should be wearing that. I'm sorry, but bro, if you're going onto a bar, I don't think you should be wearing that. I'm not. It's good.
we ordered some drinks and caught up with each other. Trey couldn't hold his alcohol well, and it wasn't long before he was drunk. After a couple more drinks, Trey got up from his seat and said, "Remember that old amusement park you were always terrified of when we were kids? How about we go back and reminisce?"
The Silver Lake Amusement Park? Why would you want to go to that old dump? There are much better places in town.
I know there are, but come on, Lisa. Can't we just do it for old time's sake?
I don't think alcohol and roller coasters go well together. Maybe we should just go home.
Trey didn't want to take no for an answer, and he kept persisting until I finally agreed. I wasn't too keen on going to our local amusement park, and I hadn't been there in years for good reason. The Silver Lake Park was an old family-owned rundown amusement park that had been in our town since the early 90s. The local underfunded park had been poorly maintained, and it was filled with aging equipment and negligent operators who didn't really care about their jobs, but it had somehow stayed operational over the years. The last time we visited the park as kids wasn't a particularly good memory for me. I told Trey that I was scared of the roller coasters, and I didn't want to go on any of the rides. However, Trey, who had always been a daredevil and adrenaline junkie, convinced me to go on one of the rides, and I ended up crying after we were strapped in. He would always tease me about this throughout our long friendship, and I wasn't really surprised when he said we should go on that same ride I was terrified of when we were kids. Even though I was much older now, I was still incredibly anxious and a little scared after they'd strapped us into the very first seats. I began to wonder if the roller coaster's rusty old lap bar would hold, and my heart began to race in my chest, so I closed my eyes. Trey, who could see I was scared, held my hand and said, "There's nothing to be afraid of, Lisa. You have to open your eyes and face your fears. Remember, you only live once, and life is too short to be scared of silly roller coasters." I slowly opened my eyes, but I was still a little anxious, and Trey, the daredevil, decided to take things up a notch, saying, "I'll prove there's nothing to be afraid of. You just have to trust me, Lisa." It was at this point that Trey began fiddling with the old lap bar, and he somehow managed to take off the rusty latch and stand up. The roller coaster hadn't picked up enough speed yet, but my anxiety shot through the roof as I begged him to sit down. Trey didn't listen, as he was drunk, and he started to scream, "I'm the king of the world!" The ride was picking up speed now, and I urged him to sit back down as I tried to reach out for him. However, Trey didn't let me help him, and he started laughing maniacally. It all happened within a few seconds as the roller coaster suddenly took a sharp turn, and before Trey could sit back down, he was unfortunately thrust into a low overhead beam. The metal beam snapped him in two, as his torso was split open and his body was bent graphically backward. His blood and pieces of the witnesses on the roller coaster who had seen me reaching out to Trey had told the officers that I might have pushed him. I was kept at the station, but luckily, after giving my statement, a toxicology report confirmed that Trey was intoxicated and I was cleared of any suspicions. After a Tyrol, I blamed myself for what happened. Even though I didn't push him, I could have stopped him from going on that roller coaster while under the influence. I kept thinking back to that night, as I told myself I should have insisted more on going back home. And I couldn't even look his grieving mother in the eyes when she gave me a hug at the end of the funeral. Even with all the time that has passed, the traumatic incident made me swear to never step within a 50-mile radius of any amusement park.
Story 3, last
Despite
one.
the many years that have passed, I can never forget the horrors I witnessed at Redwood Amusement Park. I can still remember the rotting corpses and the pungent smell of death. I never could have imagined something this horrific could happen in an amusement park, and the memory still haunts me to this very day. It all started after I'd been hired as the park's new manager. Visits to the amusement park had been dwindling over the years, and the owners asked me to set up new attractions that would draw people back to the park. During my search for a new popular attraction that would increase visits to Redwood Amusement Park, I came across a man named Dmitri. Dmitri was a Russian wax sculptor who specialized in wax figures and wax art. He assured me that he could build the most popular attraction at the park, saying, "Trust me when I tell you this, Mr. William. I'll create an attraction at Redwood Amusement Park that will attract visitors from across the country." I wasn't convinced, so I said, "Are you sure? They're just wax figures, and I don't think people would choose that over a new roller coaster, a retro carnival ride, or a funhouse." Dmitri then looked me dead in the eyes and said, "These are not just any wax figures, Mr. William. They are pristine works of art that will boggle the mind and entice anyone who sees them." I still wasn't sure this was the attraction that would revive the park, but I knew it was going to be much cheaper than new roller coasters, so I gave Dmitri the job. It took him a couple of months to put it all together, and when it was finished, Dmitri's work left me completely speechless. The attraction was called the Wax Palace, and it was truly something to behold. Everything from the furniture to the decorations appeared to be made entirely of wax, and you couldn't really tell what was real and what was wax. I couldn't help but second-guess every object Dmitri had placed inside the Wax Palace, as they were nearly perfect renditions. However, the stars of the show were the disturbingly lifelike wax statues. It felt like my eyes were playing tricks on me, as I didn't know if the people standing around me were human or statues. Dmitri had managed to create something beyond the uncanny valley with these statues, as it was difficult to tell if they were made of wax or human flesh. The new Wax Palace attraction was a massive success on the night it opened, and in the end, Dmitri was right, as a large number of people visited the palace, trying to figure out if the wax statues were actually real people. During the months that followed, several pictures of the Wax Palace circulated online, and the attraction grew even more popular. Due to its growing popularity, Dmitri consistently
Ooh.
It was all going great at first, as the owners were thrilled with the new attraction, and I'd managed to triple visits to the park. However, everything changed when I saw something I was never meant to see. I'd accidentally left my house keys at the office that night, so I went back to the amusement park to get them. After I'd picked them up from my desk, I made my way toward the exit, but I heard some strange noises outside. I looked at my watch, and it was exactly 12:06 a.m. Everyone had gone home, including the staff, after the park had closed at 10:30 p.m., and I wondered who could have been out there this late at night. So I went to investigate. It didn't take long before I came across a large black van. Dmitri was driving the van towards the Wax Palace, and he'd parked it before going inside. There was a nauseating smell coming from the back, and when I opened it, I threw up everything I'd had for dinner. It took me a few seconds to understand what I was looking, but there were heaps of embalmed corpses sitting in the back of Dmitri's van. I couldn't believe my eyes, and when I saw him coming out of the Wax Palace, I confronted him immediately, screaming, "Dmitri, what the hell is this?" "Oh, Mr. William, I thought you left. You weren't supposed to see this."
What have you done? Why do you have all these corpses in the back of your van?
"I apologize for the smell, Mr. William. They've only been embalmed, but once I carry out the plastination process and clear out their eye sockets, those corpses will transform into the lifelike wax figurines that everyone loves." I held back the urge to throw up again, as I said,
You sick freak! I'm calling the police!
However, before I could even take out my phone, Dmitri lunged toward me and wrapped his arms around my throat. I tried to fight back, but Dmitri was a much larger man than I was. It became hard to breathe, and I thrashed around trying to find something, anything, that I could use as a weapon. As he tightened his hands around my throat, Dmitri looked at me with no remorse as he said,
Fear not, William, for even in death, your corpse will live again as one of my creations. Rather than rotting away in the ground, feeding the maggots, you will become true art.
Before I could pass out, I'd managed to reach my house keys in my pocket, so I quickly grabbed them and stabbed Dmitri in the neck. I ran out of there calling the cops, and after a couple of minutes, the authorities surrounded the park. After Dmitri was taken into custody, an in-depth investigation was carried out into his wax figures, and the authorities uncovered even more horrific atrocities. Detectives discovered a disturbing number of corpses inside Dmitri's home. A majority of the bodies had been embalmed before undergoing a plastination-like preservation process. The gruesome procedure involved bodily fluids and fat being removed and replaced with silicone-based polymers. Detectives later stated that the procedure significantly slowed decomposition, allowing the
Pause? You want to pause?
No,
nearly odorless corpses to remain disturbingly lifelike for years. They also discovered that the corpses' eyes had been removed and replaced with hyper-realistic acrylic prosthetics. This small detail was a key step in keeping suspicion low, as human eyes are incredibly difficult to preserve. This twisted form of human taxidermy was how Dmitri achieved his lifelike wax figures, and he confessed to everything during his interrogation. He also told investigators that after the morbid process was complete, the corpses were coated with wax and placed inside the wax palace every month. The victims were all missing persons from Russia and Eastern Europe. Most of the identified corpses had suspected ties to organized crime, as their deaths had been linked to the Russian mafia. Detectives believed Dmitri, who had previously worked for the mafia as a disposer, had originally been tasked with getting rid of the bodies, but repurposed the corpses instead. The amusement park was shut down immediately after the horrific details were finally revealed to the public. In the end, even though all the victims have been put to rest, I'm still haunted by those corpses and Dmitri's horrific acts. Ever since that day, I've kept having this reoccurring nightmare where Dmitri slowly peels off my skin before covering me in hot wax and placing my body inside the wax palace to serve as a morbid attraction in his own.
Guys, that was a good movie. Thank you to my mom who obviously came here no matter what. So thank you, Mom, for coming here. Thank you, everybody, for watching this video. Don't forget
We'll be back.
So,
Bye.
if like, subscribe. I'll see you next one. Love y'all. And y'all know I'm out. Peace.
Been on for 30 minutes with your butt.